Facebook right now. Yay! Hi. Okay, we're actually live. This is great. Actually, let me get it on Facebook, and I want to monitor. Here we go. Wonderful. We're live. All right. Good afternoon, everyone who's joining us on Zoom. Folks who are joining us on Facebook Live, good afternoon. I see a couple people that are on Facebook Live, and I want to give folks a chance to join in since a number of people indicated that they wanted to take part and listen to this amazing guest speaker that we have today. So if you just bear with us, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for registering. For those of you who are waiting, excuse me, those of you who would like to register to get some of the bonuses, bonus gifts that Chris and I are offering, stay tuned to the end of this session, and we'll give you more information on how to obtain, how to get those free bonus gifts. Let's see. Folks who are joining us
great.
on Facebook Live, good afternoon. All right, and I think we're good. Okay, so it's 1:35, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. It is Tuesday, April 7th, and we are starting the Reduce Stress, Anxiety, and Fears with EFT Tapping, how to cope during a pandemic. I am Maryland legacy planning attorney Elsa W. Smith, and I am here. I have the pleasure of having Christine Hunt joining us today. I always want to try to provide value to individuals to make their lives better and enriched. And particularly in times like these, I thought it was really timely to bring someone in with Christine's expertise. So let me tell you a bit about her. Christine is a wellness coach, certified EFT practitioner, speaker, and founder of Hunt for Hope Wellness. She discovered the healing power of EFT, and that stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, also known as tapping. And that has transformed her life from one burden with low self-esteem, financial lack, and chronic illness to a life of joy, success, and personal satisfaction and wellness. Her work is dedicated to helping people understand the link between their emotional baggage and stress, which can affect their health, and overall well-being and peace of mind. Christine, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for wanting to share your expertise with my audience. I know that we have people joining on Facebook. I see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. This is so important. First of all, if you could just, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I also want to do a deeper dive and get into what your story is, more on how you made the journey from the low self-esteem, etc., to where you are now.
Okay. Well, why don't I actually begin with that? Because,
okay.
Because, that kind of leads me to where I am now,
Yes.
When I give my talks, I talk about how I feel like I grew up in my brother's shadow. I have a brother that's a year older than me. He was the son of the household, and growing up in the 50s and the 60s, then a lot of the mores of men of the house, and so proud to have a son in the family and that kind of thing. I really felt like I was kind of overshadowed and always trying to catch up with him. And so that, I think, was really a big part of the low self-esteem and the lack of self-confidence, because I was always striving to try and make up for, what the lack that I felt in my life. And so that actually translated into relationship issues. I have 2 failed marriages, both of whom I was married to addictive personalities.
Okay.
And because, you know, oh, they kind of were addicted to me, and I craved that kind of love and attention, and I thought that that was true love. And it just turned out really not to be. So as a result of just kind of feeling of lack, not really quite making the grade, I also just had a lot of career issues. I'm kind of a Jackie of all trades because I've done a number of different things in my life. But doing what I'm doing now is kind of the mother lode for me. I've kind of found my groove, and it is something that has come for a long time. And because of all of the emotional baggage that I had growing up, using the EFT process, which we're going to talk more about in a little bit, profoundly helped me get rid of that emotional baggage that I was dealing with, and to kind of blossom into the person that I was really born to be. And I feel successful now. I am successful now. I turn people's lives around. I'm in my 3rd marriage.
Okay. Hey, third's a charm.
Very happily married, and everything is just going very well for me. So, you know, I'm just a completely different person than I was before. I have esteem. I have confidence. I have a path. And the EFT literally changed my life. That's
Wow.
the only way you can say it.
Wow, that's, you know, we were talking offline as we were preparing for this Facebook Live, and I said that, you know, I had to, this might turn into like a self-therapy session because so much of what you teach are things that people need. You know, full disclosure to everyone watching, and I don't have a problem in sharing this. Years ago, I also dealt with self-esteem issues because of things that happened in my past, and, you know, through, you know, I'm a person of faith, so my faith, and just listening to people who are therapists and other professionals really helped me to overcome those things and to just be a stronger person, and have coping techniques so that I can thrive. And one of the big reasons that I wanted you to talk to my audience is because, you know, COVID-19 is everywhere. This is what we're talking about now. People are afraid. They are concerned. We see death. Let me just be blunt about it. You know, and it's a very trying time. So I know we're going to get into more of like the feelings and how that prevents people from moving forward, but we've marketed this session as EFT tapping. Please educate us on what EFT is. First of all, yeah, and what can it be used for?
Okay. EFT, as you mentioned, stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques.
Okay.
And I say techniques because there are many different aspects, different ways to use it. And depending on the situation that a person is experiencing with a client or yourself, if you're using it yourself. EFT was created back in the 1980s by actually a man who was a professional engineer, but he had an interest in thought field therapy and some of the alternative modalities that were being used to help people find the answers to health problems and calming fears and phobias and things like that. And so he drew from some other sources that he was exposed to at the time and created EFT. It's called tapping because you're actually tapping on acupuncture meridian points. And I'll explain more about the actual process in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
What it can be used for is everything. I mean, quite literally, if you have a thought, you have an experience in life, you're going to generate particular thoughts about that experience. You cannot have a thought without a corresponding emotion. And based on the experience that you have, there may be a belief that is formed, or you may create a vow like, well, I'm never going to do that again. All right. So you want to avoid those kinds of situations in the future. But quite literally, because we are emotional beings and everything about life is based on our emotional reactions to it. If you think about your family, a particular family member, what emotion comes to mind? You're probably going to think about a particular incident relating to that person, right? How do you feel about that? If you're employed, or maybe having some fears about that right now, okay? What else is going on with you? Are you just feeling stuck because you're at home? Are you feeling powerless because there's nothing that you can do about this COVID situation? If you think about your school days, a particular friend or the class bully, what's your emotional reaction to that? So because everything is emotional, and because certain life experiences we may perceive as traumatic in some way to us, then we're going to hold on to that memory of that experience. So if you got pushed down by a kid in 5th grade in the playground that's wearing a yellow shirt, then that experience, you may pull away from that the fact that, well, you don't like yellow. So you're never going to use yellow. You're never going to wear it. You're never going to have it in your house. You're not going to buy a yellow car. Okay. You might not know why you don't like yellow because it happened a long time ago, but you don't like yellow. And you're always going to avoid anybody or any kind of a situation that your subconscious mind's memory of that original experience reminds you of that experience. That's why we have triggers. Okay. Trigger reactions to certain stimuli, because in some way we were traumatized on some level of experiences.
So what kind of things can EFT tapping be used for? You know, practically, what can it be used for? What are some scenarios? Like people that suffer from PTSD or
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. PTSD, of course, is the mother of all emotional reactions. If you think of a combat veteran who can't go to fireworks, or here's a backfire of a car and they're immediately running for cover, this is that trigger reaction that I'm talking about. And literally there have been over 100 clinical studies done on EFT, clinical studies and peer-reviewed papers. The Veterans Administration and Kaiser Permanente have recognized EFT as a treatment for PTSD. And clinical studies have revealed that anywhere from 6 to 10 one-hour sessions of EFT with a combat veteran suffering from PTSD can relieve anywhere from 50 to 100% of their symptoms.
You know, let me stop you right there, Christine, because you mentioned combat veterans, and in this coronavirus, environment, in this era, the first people that come to mind are our first responders, or our nurses, our doctors, the people that are on the front lines. I mean, aren't they're dealing with death and severe illness. And a lot of times there's nothing that they can do. And are those individuals, are the ones that could be, you could use
Absolutely.
EFT.
They are in a high stress situation, and EFT has also been clinically proven to reduce cortisol stress levels more effectively than meditation. So it can be used to calm stress and anxiety, to calm the fears. Our first responders are also out there dealing with some impossible situations. People don't cooperate, and so they're getting frustrated and angry because they can't get people to do what they're supposed to be doing. If they can't help a person the way that they want to, they may have a feeling of regret and remorse. They may feel guilty because there should have been something else they could have done. You know, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas in life.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that kind of emotion that goes on with them, just the frontline fear of, am I going to be infected? Or if I go home, am I going to infect my family? And what are the consequences of that going to be?
You know, there's so many stressors that we're dealing with now. There are people that are facing loss of employment. That's huge.
Yeah.
And add to that, if you are the primary breadwinner in a family,
Yep.
you know, that's another layer of stress, and you're bearing all this on your shoulders.
Or you're a single person.
Yes.
And you're living on your own and you have no other way. And because COVID is there, now you can't go out and find a new job because people aren't hiring.
Right.
They're not interviewing. And there's the fear, how long is this going to last? So that's where the helplessness and powerlessness and the lack of control that we feel comes in around this whole situation. Now, you know, there's a lot of people, and I'm one of them. I can work this way. I can have sessions with people online, and a lot of people are telecommuting for work, and thank God for that. And there are certain industries that, you know, they have it's an essential industry, and those people are working. But the restaurants, please order carry out, everybody, you know.
Right.
Do what you can to support the community. So I think that fear and stress and anxiety are really some of the big things, but people are feeling stuck. People that are healthy, that want to go out and do things, maybe younger people, they're feeling stuck. They're feeling anxious because they can't do anything.
Right.
And so they're just feeling like they're trapped. They're in a cage. And they are powerless to take any action about it.
Okay, so let's describe to me in layman's terms, what are the differences, or a difference between EFT tapping and, you know, traditional talk therapy? Because people nowadays, you know, that get therapy, it's trending, and I'm glad, you know, that we're at least having the conversation that therapy is important. It's not taboo. You and I know very well that there are families where, you know, it's just not talked about. You just have that odd relative that, you know, we just don't really mention at the family reunions. They just have issues, you know.
And there's always that familial conflict too. You know?
Absolutely. So what's one difference between EFT and
well,
like
the
traditional?
big difference is, okay, EFT could be considered a therapy or a treatment. Like therapy, we are talking. I have to ask questions to find out, well, what's bothering my client? And then I'm like a detective. I really drill down. There might be something that's going on, something in their life that they're not happy with. Well, okay, where did that start? Because like I said, it's those traumas earlier in our lives that the subconscious mind holds on to that cause us to react the way that we do later on. So we do need to kind of do that sort of therapy of digging for where did this first start and how are you feeling about this kind of thing in your life. But the difference with EFT is the fact that while you are talking about that experience and the associated thoughts, emotions, maybe the belief that was tied into that, whatever kind of sensory experiences might have gone along with that, say there was a car accident and you had the sound of breaking glass, you had the movement of the jerking of the car, you had the smell of burning rubber from the tires trying to stop the vehicle. There's a lot of sensory experience around that. So we pull all of that out while we are tapping on these acupuncture points and talking about this experience in as much detail as we can. And the reason why we are tapping on acupuncture meridian points is that in the acupuncture meridian system, each pair of meridians is associated with two different organs, but there's also an emotion associated with it.
Okay.
So bladder and kidneys are fear. Your heart is love.
Mm.
Your gallbladder and your liver are anger.
Mm.
Your lungs and large intestine are sadness. Your stomach and small intestine are worry. That's why when you worry, you get an ulcer in your stomach.
Yes.
Okay? So
Yes.
you see, all of this translates into the body. If you are holding on to an emotion long term, then you're going to end up with a chronic illness, chronic pain. If you have an acute situation, then you may end up with a more acute physical problem. Everybody is different because everybody reacts to different stimulus completely differently. So that's the difference, is that you can talk all day about a particular problem, but when you add the tapping while you are talking about the situation, then that is automatically reducing your stress response to that experience.
And Christine, I want to just underscore the fact that this technique, there are no drugs or anything involved.
No.
So for people that are looking for an alternative therapy that does not involve drugs or, you know, prescribed or otherwise, this is, you know, potentially an option.
Oh, it is. You know, I really wish this was the person's first option. But after a person goes through the conventional medical routes for so many things, and maybe they try some other alternatives, you see, most of those things are dealing with symptoms. They're dealing with pain. They're dealing with the disruption in the organ. They're dealing with whatever the biological problem is. EFT is actually going to the root or the heart, the origin of where that started in a person's life, because we hold on to those emotions, we hold on to those traumas, and they manifest in the body or in our life, relating to relationships, relating to the kinds of careers and the kind of money that we make, that feeling of lack of self-worth, not feeling valued. Maybe as you were a child and growing up, that can affect how much money you make, the kind of job that you have, the kind of relationships that you enter into, especially those people that are dealing with physical abuse in relationships. They're hanging on to that relationship because they don't value themselves enough to leave it. And so that's how broad-reaching EFT can work on people's traumas, big and small.
Thank you. Now, you know that what I do in my world of legacy planning, you know, we're assisting people to, you know, we assist them in advance medical directives, so planning for the now and then planning for the hereafter. And the many people that I've had the pleasure of meeting over the years, they come to me with a series of familial issues. And I want to go back to fear, because a lot of times I think that fear is a stumbling block for them moving forward, you know, because we don't want to talk about death. We don't want to talk about, you know, incapacity of ourselves or of a loved one. So if I'm coming to you with these, you know, with these issues, these roadblocks, how could you help me?
Well, to again, kind of do that detective work, dig down as to, well, where does that fear come from? And many times what I will do is I will have the person call up what it is that the problem is. Okay, well, why is it that you are not moving forward with making an estate plan so that you can make the decision as to what happens with your legacy, basically? And many times people will get a feeling, you know, we'll identify the emotion, but many times they'll get a feeling in their body, a physical sensation, usually in the torso. It can be in the chest, it can be in the gut, kind of the solar plexus area, you know, the chakra system of the body. And then the question is, when do you remember first feeling like that? And that will usually prompt a memory. Or another thought pattern. Oh, well, you know, there's 3 siblings and I don't want to appoint one person as the executor because, well, then somebody else is going to feel left out. And, you know, and I don't want to be distributing X amount of something to this person to inherit and not and hurt other people's feelings because, well, maybe they're feeling like they're not getting their fair share. So there's a lot of fear around the family dynamics around something like this. They don't want to hurt people's feelings. They don't want to go to that decision-making place that is going to cause maybe more conflict in familial relationships that are already kind of at odds, or to potentially create those kinds of conflicts in the family relationship. They just don't want to go there.
So would you say that there's a relationship between whatever the trauma is that maybe somebody has had in the past? Because for many people, you know, it can be, you know, a childhood trauma. It can be trauma that we experience as adults. So is there a relationship or a correlation between that trauma and the resistance to, say, sitting down and saying, okay, I'm going to write my will?
Yeah, because so much of that, again, it goes to, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And maybe growing up, you know, you had a sibling that you did something that affected them negatively, maybe a betrayal sort of thing, and so that kind of thing kind of comes back when they think about, oh, well, am I going to leave them out or am I going to include them, or how are they going to feel if they don't get what they think that they might want? And you know, I mean, a good thing would be to open up the conversation with the family members about that to begin with. And if there's any kind of conflict, or if there are things that are causing disruption in the relationships, then EFT would be a wonderful thing to help work through that with the individual or as a group, you know, in order to resolve things.
Do you sometimes have to meet with, I guess, an individual alone, and then, you know, in the family setting, let's say, you know, if you have mom, dad, and say adult children?
I haven't done a group like that, but it is certainly possible to do that. I have worked with couples together, you know, on issues before. And so it might not be particularly that it's everyone in the family or that might be affected by the inheritance, but there might be just kind of that 1 or 2 people that are the sticking point. So it would be best to start with the person who's going to be planning the estate, you know, making the estate, and find out where the hang-ups are. And then determine, oh, well, do we need to work with anyone else? Because once we're able to resolve whatever fears and emotional disruptions that are preventing them from moving forward, that resistance, as you have said, because it's all about the resistance.
Yes, that's a hot word right now.
It really is, and that's a perfect word to describe that, because when you know that you really should do something, but something is holding you back, you're resisting it. Okay, well, where is that resistance? What is that all about? What are you afraid of? What are the consequences of you doing this estate plan? And how are you feeling about that? So if we start with the person who's resisting making the plan, sometimes maybe once we get all of those things taken care of, you know, that are causing the resistance, that's all they need to move forward. If there might be discussion with other family members, then yeah, in a way, I'm not a licensed mediator, but the EFT process can really help that mediation process if we come together as a group.
we're coming close to the end of our half hour, and we can go on for hours, quite frankly, because I'm enjoying this so much, and I'm sure that everyone who's watching on Facebook and joining us on Zoom, they're getting so much out of this content. How can people obtain information, how to contact you, or information on just like the basics of EFT tapping that they can take away?
Well, my website is hunt for, and that's spelled out FOR, hopewellness.com. Hunt for hopewellness.com. And there's a lot of information on there. There's a ton of wellness articles that you can look at. There is an explanation under the About Me part that is talking about an explanation about EFT. There's even a short tapping video at the end of that. There's a contact page where you can send me an email, tell me what it is, what question you would like to have answered, or if there's a mind freeze.
That's okay.
If you'd like to schedule a free consultation, I do offer free phone consultations. So there's no obligation, but I could find out what it is about what's bothering you, what's concerning you, what's holding you back from achieving what you would like to achieve. Talking about the stress and fears and anxieties around COVID right now. I even have a blog that I recently put out that has a link to a video of an older gentleman, a British man, who was on a cruise ship and he contracted COVID.
Oh.
Went to a Japanese hospital where he and his wife were quarantined, and they were there for about a month.
Okay.
He did about a 38-minute video on how he used EFT just before they were ready to put him on a respirator based on the lung capacity and the lack of oxygen that he was getting. He used EFT, and within days, his oxygen level was up. He
Wow.
never had to be put on a respirator. His lungs cleared up, and he was still testing positive for corona, so they were still isolating him. But the EFT helped him breathe better and bring his oxygen levels up, which sped up his recovery. These are the kinds of effects that EFT can have on health as well. So yeah, go to my website, go to that contact page. I'll get an email from you that, like I said, you can ask questions or schedule a free consultation.
I'm actually, while we're doing this now, I'm going to, for the benefit of those who are watching us on the Facebook Live, I'm going to put my email address there. It's in the content stream. If you'd like more information, and actually for the benefit of those who are watching, and thank you everyone on Facebook and everyone on Zoom who's joined us. Christine, you actually have some bonus gifts that you wanted to offer folks. I do too, but I wanted you to share what you're offering, because there's just so much good stuff here, and I just want to share it with everyone who's watching.
Yeah. Well, the first bonus is I have a front and back single page EFT instructions. So this can help you understand how EFT works a little bit, and it has a diagram as to where all the points are, and it tells you how to do EFT. So that's an instructional sheet on using EFT. I'm also going to provide you a stress tapping script. So this is a script that you would just follow, and it tells you what point to be tapping on and exactly what to say. It's pretty general, just talking about stress or anxiety, that sort of thing, but it's something that you can follow along with. Then if you decide that you would really like to give this a try, I'm also giving everyone a 25% off coupon for a first EFT session. Now we have to have a phone consultation before we do that, because I want to learn more about what you're dealing with.
Now, do they have to give you a code or something in order to be eligible for that, or no?
The people who have registered
The registered.
will be
Okay.
eligible for that, and I will have all of their names. So
Okay.
it's not going to be transferable.
Okay.
And that will be sent to each person who is registered.
If what I'd like to do, if I may, for the people that are watching, and if they send me an email to the email address that's on the stream, could those folks be eligible too?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Yes, anyone who has been viewing this interview.
Wonderful. And that's info@Elsa W Smith Law. I realize I just made a typo, but it's info@ElsaWSmithLaw.com. So if you send an email to that email, send me an email to that email address. Let me know that you attended this session today. I will make sure to put you in contact with Christine so that you can get those bonuses. Now,
More bonus.
oh, but wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Next Tuesday, on April 14th at 7 p.m., I am going to be having a meeting like this on Zoom, where we will actually do tapping on whatever fears, anxieties, however you're feeling about COVID. So you get a live up to a 2-hour session, depending on how many people that come and what we have to deal with.
Wow.
So it'll be between a 1 to 2 hour session where you will be tapping with me live via a Zoom connection next Tuesday evening at 7 p.m.
Okay, and once they contact you, they'll get all that information on how to register.
Yes, I will send out all of that information to everyone who has registered for this and viewed this and that I've gotten their email.
Wonderful. And since I said that I was offering something as well, for everyone who's registered on Zoom, those of you who are on Facebook and who send me an email to info@ElsaWSmithLaw.com, I'm also going to throw in my free 21-point estate planning checklist. Again, free of charge, but it gets you in the right mindset of the things that you need to, the documents and things you need to have together as you're thinking about starting your estate plan. So that's the 21-point estate planning checklist, in addition to all of the bonus gifts that Christine, boy, she really brought the mother load. And seriously, Christine, thank you so much. You've just shared a wealth of information with us, and it is so timely.
Yes.
You know, I think that the big takeaway, and wouldn't you agree that we are going to get through this?
Yes.
We are going to get through this. This is a very rough time, and my heart goes out to, as I mentioned before, the first responders. Those, I mean, they're near and dear because they're putting it all on the line. And also the people that are dealing, you know, we're all at home right now. I'm talking to you we're both talking from our home offices, and everyone's cooped up and everyone's dealing with some kind of stressor. So I'm so glad that you were able to share hope in one word.
Yeah.
Hope.
That's why it's Hunt for Hope.
That's right. Hope for, yeah, that's right. That's right. So I want to thank you again for joining us. And it's just been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Elsa.
You're so welcome. Everybody, that's going to conclude this live, and thank you so much for watching. This Facebook Live will be available on replay, so stay tuned for that a little later on today. But again, I'm Elsa W. Smith, your Maryland legacy planning attorney, here saying thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more videos from my firm and more wonderful individuals like Christine Hunt. Have a wonderful day and stay safe, everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.